sub 13 minutes, which still sounds fast, but as the times get faster, it's an all relative thing. We have a pacer in front, and I believe that's AJ Ernst who's going to do the driving here. Edwin Kurgat is a DNS in this race. So we got Sam Atkin of Great Britain, Cooper Tier, Grant Fisher, Viniam Mahari, Stuart McSwain, Anthony Rotich, Cole Hocker, Mohamed, Seleman Barega, Joshua Cheptegei, the world record holder, Morgan McDonald, second ranked in the world, Barahu Aragawi, and Jacob Kiplimo, who we didn't even mention in the Cavalcade of Stars, winner of the last 2 World Cross Country titles, Tokyo bronze medalist at 10,000 meters, and finished 5th coming back in the 5K. And they're all running single file here in the early going.
I'm not going to make the statement that we're going to be talking about this guy at the end of this race by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think that Sam Atkin is one of the most underappreciated distance runners on the planet. This guy, he runs for Great Britain, and so, you know, for the American fans, maybe we don't care, maybe we do, but he goes to BU every winter and runs times that are unworldly. He's run under 13 minutes for 5K. He's run right around or under 7:30 for 3K. I mean, this guy is strong, he is fast, and yet he is one of these athletes that, you know, time and again, I feel like maybe he gets too fit too early, Shannon. You know, what do you think explains someone with that type of pedigree not being, you know, in world finals left and right?
You know, I think maybe too early. In this scenario, he's opening up his outdoor season. He had that 12:58 in January, and there's no other results for him in 2024.
I think that shows immense strength and immense mental fortitude. And so to see him here so early in the race and aggressively put himself right behind Sam Atkin in front of American record holder Grant Fisher, I mean, he's got to be feeling really great about where he is, and he doesn't want to deal with the yo-yo. Shannon, sometimes in these races where it gets so spread out, if there's any lack in the pace, the group all coalesces together and then strings back out as someone in the front realizes that the pace is lagging a little bit. That takes its toll on your body. To run these incredibly fast times, the margin of error is quite small. And so I think minimizing the amount of you know, rest to stop and go, stop and go, stop and go, the traffic that you might experience in the back of the pack, Cooper's doing a great job asserting himself at the front of this field.
You know, and I think in that championship scenario, you often see that yo-yo effect, right, where we get someone that goes out hard, then slows down, then surges, and really is just trying to create that lactic surge in the competitors, as well as the stress and emotional kind of confusion about what's going on, versus being able to just get on the train and run. We have a pacer here. This isn't the championship scenario. There are athletes who are trying to get those standards. We only have, you know, we have about handful that do have it and a lot that want to get there, and so, you know, seeing them strung out like this tells us that they have gotten after the pace, and at least at a K they were on that 12:54, that sub 13-minute pace.
2:34.7, 2:35.5. Those are K1
and split wise, you know, at the front, Atkin a 61, a 61, a 62, a 62. We're going to see how things evolve over, but I think that the splits tell a lot of the story as well in these athletes and the way that they the race is progressing and how maybe they might be feeling on the inside based on the numbers that we see as the pacer now steps off, and we have 7 laps remaining. Still a lot of work left to do in the race. Still that chunk of the race where you're sort of have to prepare yourself mentally just to put in the grind, and that inclination to slow down might be there, but really getting yourself hopefully to that 2-mile mark, hopefully to the four laps to go with some running left in your legs. I think that generally is that truth-telling moment that I've found in the 5K, where either you're going to be able to have a great race or you might want to drop out.
And here's the benefit of those lights. Also, you can see Sam Atkin at the front sort of looking around saying, hey guys, come on, someone help me out up here. Someone do some work. But this field, Paul, again, it is just single file. There are no gaps. There's maybe a slight gap forming between the entire field and the person in last place right now. I'm scrolling through my screen trying to find out exactly who that might be. Anthony Rotich Rocic, sort of the only person falling off this pace. Cole Hawker doing an incredible job maneuvering around Anthony Rocic and pulling Morgan McDonald back to the back of this field. As Sam Atkin, he hasn't lost contact with those green lights, but I know that he wants someone to come around him.
Of course, yeah. I think especially when there's this much racing left to do, and you see him looking over his shoulder right now. I mean, I think you called it, right? The best scenario is if he, in a perfect world, had someone who would maybe want to trade off with him. You know, we've watched that in Olympic finals before. I remember when Helen Obiri got her first Olympic medal, she and Vivian were trading off leads. I think for Atkins' sake, I hope that maybe someone will be willing to get up in front of him and help put in the work. It looks like maybe Tier is moving a little bit wide, which tells me that he wants to go quicker, but maybe he's not quite sure yet if he wants to be the one to become the pacer. But Atkins really asking, come on, somebody help me out.
Well, you can see now the lights are definitely moving away from this group, and I don't think Atkins has any willingness to kind of keep pushing this pace, as he did a lot of looking around there as they come through now with 5 laps to go. So they're through 3K in 7:47.05. The last kilometer about a second slower than the second kilometer, 2:36.54. So they're falling off that pace just a bit as they work their way now, kind of closing in on 13-minute pace, and those lights about 10 meters ahead. Eric Gowie now making a move on the outside. 2 silvers again in the last 2 world championships at cross country, 4th in that Tokyo Olympic final at 10,000 meters. But it's Tier and then the American record holder Fisher comfortably in 3rd. We haven't even talked about Bahari, who's the 17-year-old Ethiopian that ran 12:56.37 on the Diamond League circuit in the race that Barrega ran the fastest time in the world this year, 12:55.68. So Aragawi now moving past Stewie McSwain as we have less than a mile to go, as Atkin continues to drive this thing forward as they reach 9 minutes elapsed.
So one of the things that's sort of presenting itself to me right now is that in the front, at least in the front half of this group, there is one person who doesn't have the Olympic qualifying time. That person just went to the front, and that's Cooper Tier. I've just been sitting here trying to say there's one guy that doesn't have this time, and he can't let the time slip away.
Right.
Yes, under 13 minutes is well beyond the Olympic qualifying time, and for a moment I do think that Cooper Tier was sort of sitting there thinking, all I gotta do, my goal today is just to click off this Olympic qualifying standard. I also think that you get to a point, Shannon, with all this training that you do, you want to see how fit you are.
Absolutely.
And if I'm sitting there feeling good with a mile to go, I just ran 3:32. You're in my wheelhouse. Let's go, folks.
Well, and I look at the splits, 61, 61, 62, 62, 62, and it was a 63 that was the point at which Tier decided to take the lead. In fact, that 63 was almost a 64, so had definitely dropped in the pace. We're starting to get separation. Hawker coming off the lead pack.
Yeah, 3 laps to go now, and the world record holder, Joshua Cheptegei, is moving up on the outside, back there along shoulder to shoulder with Grant Fisher, and maybe slightly ahead into 4th as we kind of wind things up here over the last few laps. The last lap came through in one of the fastest laps of the race, sub 63 seconds, so they're starting to wind it back down to where they need it to be, but still now a K to go as they go through this last kilometer in 2:36.
Train in Ks, they just hit a K mark, and we saw a lot of the African athletes all then make their surge to the front as they went from being the complete back of the lead pack to now the complete front of the lead pack with Aragawi, Mahare, Cheptegei, all of them now at the front pushing this pace with 2 laps to go.
Grant Fisher right there just made some savvy moves. He's following directly in the slipstream of Joshua Cheptegei, the fastest man ever to cover this distance on planet Earth. I mean, you could throw a blanket over 10 guys at the front of this field as they are all running right around the 13-minute pace. And who are you talking about now? What other absolutely fantastic athlete? Watch out, here comes Suleiman Barrega.
600 to go as the Olympic champion at 10,000 meters. Suleiman Barrega moves up along Aragawi. Mahari is there, the world record holder back in 4th. Cooper Tier staying in the mix with Grant Fisher, the 2 Americans there in the top. Stewie McSwain, Kip Limo, Mohamed at the back of that pack, the Canadian who just got named to the Canadian team, trying to stay in the mix. This is championship racing with a lap to go.
Aragawi goes to the front, hard charging. You could see him sort of change his cadence, put his head down, and decide this is my long run for home. And he is pulling this entire field with him. You can watch these guys now. They went from running, Paul, to sprinting.
Yes, exactly. 62nd for that last lap going into the final one with Aragawi in the lead, but Barega coming wide, Cheptegei coming wide, Ahmed trying to see if he can move in on the inside. The whole field wide and sprinting with 200 to go.
Half lap to go, and they caught back up to those race lights that were pacing them sub-13 as Barega has the lead. The world record holders gearing up for a run for home as well. Barega, Aragawi, now Cheptegei into third. But the Olympic champion's going to lower his world leading time, and look at the fast times that follow. And let's wait for the confirmation of all these final laps. 54:15 is the mark for Barega. Aragawi second, Cheptegei third, Kiplimo 12:52 in fourth. Grant Fisher with another fabulous performance, 12:53.30. The 17-year-old Meharry gets the Olympic standard, 12:54.10. Mohamed, 12:54. We got a sub-13 train now.